Brad Pitt is one of the most famous actors in the world. During his career, the now 58-year-old has shot numerous films, and in many of them, wowed the masses with an amazing body. But did he achieve this physique always in a natural way? Or did he use steroids from time to time? That's what we're going to tell you today. Many men want to look exactly like Brad Pitt in Fight Club and Troy, and that's not surprising. After all, he was well-toned in both movies, with clearly visible abs, but didn't have excessive muscle mass like a bodybuilder. He probably had the body that most men strive for, and the majority of women find most attractive. To find out if he ever took performance-enhancing substances in his career, let's just take a look at Brad Pitt at about 25 years old in the movie The Dark Side of the Sun. Back then, he was nowhere near as famous as he was after Fight Club, and especially nowadays. In The Dark Side of the Sun, you can see that Brad Pitt has always had a rather lean body, with very little body fat. So, he was already very shredded back then. We can 100% say that Brad Pitt certainly didn't take steroids when he was 25. His body was simply that of an athletic young man, with the bonus that he already had a visible six-pack. Also in the movie Thelma and Louise, when Brad Pitt was 28 years old, you can see that he definitely has very good genetics. Compared to The Dark Side of the Moon, it is obvious that he built up some muscle in the 3 years between the movies. However, he was definitely still far away from his natural limit and certainly didn't use steroids. Now let's take a look at his form in Fight Club at 36 years old. Here, Brad Pitt had the physique that the average guy strives for in the gym, and we can say something encouraging immediately. Brad Pitt's form in Fight Club is absolutely achievable for almost all men without any steroids. After all, in Fight Club, Brad Pitt weighed only 155 pounds at the height of 5'11" with about 7% body fat. That's not even close to massive, but simply lean and shredded. So steroids were definitely not involved back then. We wouldn't be surprised if Brad Pitt simply visited the gym 3 times a week before the movie and paid attention to his diet. Everything else is simply due to his awesome genetics. Now let's take a look at the movie Troy, in which Brad Pitt was already 41 years old. That means at that time it must have been a bit more difficult for him to build up muscle naturally. Here you can see, Brad Pitt's genetics are simply world class. He is definitely one of those men who can eat whatever they want and never put on fat. Something else that's immediately obvious, he had a bit more muscle mass in Troy compared to Fight Club. We estimate that he had 165 pounds and about 9% body fat here. That is absolutely achievable naturally within 5 years. Therefore, we are very sure that Brad Pitt was not on steroids in Troy either. And even at 51 in the movie Fury, you can see that Brad Pitt was still in great shape, even though his advanced age was already more apparent. Nevertheless, even at 51, he was probably still among the 0.1% of the world's fittest men above 30. Also, if we look at recent photos of Brad Pitt at 58 years old, we do not detect any traces of steroids. We are actually convinced that Brad Pitt has never taken steroids in his career. So our verdict is clear. Brad Pitt is, and always has been, natty. That's it again for today. If you liked our video, share it with your friends.